Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's Overton Audios podcast. Before we get into the full podcast, I wanted to make a statement about something that's happened within the DW 2012 community, and for those of you who know about it, you'll know fully well what this is about. But one of my very good friends, Anya Coyle, has decided to leave the Doctor Who community due to the amount of toxic comments, judgment, and behaviour from others in the community that would be constituted as bullying. This news came out the night of when we had finished recording this podcast. Otherwise, I would have addressed it through the podcast itself. That's why I wanted to make this very quick statement before the actual podcast starts. I wanted to send out a message to everyone, as well as to Anya herself, that I will always stand with her. That behaviour is not welcome in the Doctor Who community. Obviously, the fandom is known for some toxicity, especially with how the current showrunner is running the show, but that is no excuse for attacking fans of the show, people who put their hard work and passion. People have feelings. Anya Coyle is a producer of Fractured Timeline, and people don't seem to recognise that. When I directed the candidate, I spoke and consulted with Dan and Anya about how we move forward. There are some people out there who, by working with me or working with Dan, who have tried to assume themselves as a producer of the audios that we make, when this is not the case. I've always been very open about the fact that I want to be involved with the fandom as much as possible. Like I've said before, if anyone wants to write anything for me, they are more than happy to. So for people to assume ownership over something, even over one of the creators, and not treat them properly, I can't find the words for how disgusting that behaviour is. But ultimately, it's not on. I will never support it. We're all fans of one show, and the show has gone through many eras, and there are some eras that some people prefer and some people don't. But that's the beauty of the show. There should be no judgment, nor should we be using that sort of behaviour between ourselves as fans. That is not what the show stands for. So ultimately, my final statement is, Anya Coyle, I will always stand with you for what Doctor Who is all about: respect, compassion, love, and kindness. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this month's podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's Overton Audios podcast. My name is Connor Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Patton.
And on today's podcast, I will be talking to Nathan Carter about the final series of his Doctor Who.
And then later we'll be chatting to Oliver Silcock in regards to Season 4 of Doctor Who Resurrection.
But firstly, how have you been, Dan?
It has been good. It's been good, all things considering. I'm currently back in my university accommodation to move back home, so it's a busy but uneventful month.
Yeah, things have certainly changed since the first podcast we did. The first one we did just out of lockdown, really.
Was it? Would we do it just before or after a lockdown, or?
I think the first one, because it would be the fourth one. So I think the first one we did was in April. So that was just after it started.
Oh yes.
And now obviously the world's, like, for example, I'm busier than ever because I've struggled to find the time to sit down and record this with you.
Oh, yes.
And the world's sort of getting back to normal in places. You know, I mean, we're actually recording this on the day that in the UK, other businesses that are non-essential are able to open again.
Yeah, so it's like pubs, some restaurants are opening, and the Odeon is now opening as well.
What's funny you mentioned about pubs is because yesterday when I was at work, on the same street as this site I was at, there's a pub, and they've not opened the interior, but they've opened it outside, and people were out, about 60 people in this tight street, all drinking and laughing, and I walked through there with my work colleague, and I just said out loud, "This isn't very social distancing." Because like everyone's out there with like a beer or a pint or something, all chatting and laughing, and you know, realistically, obviously, if we weren't having a pandemic, that would be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think just people are forgetting that we are still in a pandemic. That's like I've had a few friends ask me to go out to the pub today, but I'm like, probably not on the opening day because it's
going to be swarmed.
It's going to be swarmed, yeah.
Yeah, I'd leave it. I'd leave it a few days until that's all worn off, or if the weather gets worse.
Oh yeah, definitely. If it gets worse, because that's probably that's when people are going to be less enticed to go back to the pubs.
Yeah, and something else I was thinking about, not to get too political because we do talk about audio dramas on this, but something else I was thinking about was on the tube when I was on London. I'm still wearing my face mask as I should be, and as everyone else should be.
Because you're a good chatters.
Yes, I follow the rules, and, but the tubes are busier, but they're not packed like they used to be. But the thing is, the streets are more packed now. So part of me's been wondering, should we not just be wearing face masks in busy places? Like, just put it down to your, like, if it's busy, you should wear one. You know, it's like, yeah, sure. I find it annoying sometimes because like you get so overheated in that mask, you're breathing just in one area, really closed off area, so you end up getting sweaty and everything. It's not nice, but at the same time, I'm fine. You know, it's not hurting me physically. It's just an inconvenience, but it's something that's got to be done.
Yeah, like I was recently just on a flight from Northern Ireland to London, and we had to keep them face masks on at all times. It wasn't so bad in Northern Ireland because we still didn't have that great weather. It was like 14 degrees when we left. But when we got to London, we were at the peak of the heat wave. It was like 31 degrees. We were wearing the masks, and all we could feel was just the drips of sweat going down our noses towards our lips.
Oh no!
and we went straight from the airport to the train station. So from all that time, we had to keep our masks on because that's what it's mandatory.
Yeah.
And we felt like rebels because every so often we would take them off just to get just a swing of fresh air.
Well, yeah, like for example, when I'm on my way home from work, sometimes I'll just stop and get a bottle of water or something. When I sit down on that train, and I don't even take it off completely. I just take it off of one ear and let it hang off the other ear, so people know that I've still got it.
Yeah.
So and then I just take a swig of water, but everyone's watching you. It's like you're like the odd one out because you're not wearing it. It's a kind of I find it funny, but simultaneously kind of a bit daunting if you walk in and everyone's wearing a face mask but you.
It's sort of like it feels like a weird, sort of change because remember like at the very beginning, if you were wearing a face mask, you were sort of the odd one out. Now if you're not wearing a face mask, you're the odd one out.
Well, yeah. It's like exactly. I think that's what we said before, isn't it? Like we said about a month ago. Also, face masks were only seen on. I'd only seen like 1 to 3 people wearing them on the tube. Now it's the other way around. But I still see some people like last week. In fact, actually, since the masks became mandatory, the Tuesday after, I think that would have been the 17th of June. I saw someone get tackled to the ground at London Bridge.
Good Lord.
Because they ran past the ticket barriers and started running, and the staff had to chase him down. But I thought to myself, the way they tackled him to the ground, and I thought to myself, that's still not very social distancing. You've tackled him, you're on top of him. Like, yeah, but anyway, he got taken away.
Damn.
And then I've seen, and I saw other people getting fined. One person, my favourite quote of the year so far, was someone saying about face masks at that same train station. What do you mean they're mandatory? What's the difference between mandatory and compulsory? Because they say it's compulsory, but then they're saying, oh, it's mandatory. And it goes, well, what's the difference? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But compulsory is a nicer way of saying it rather than mandatory.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It also really exposes the people who don't think it's a real thing.
It does. It does. But anyway, shall I move on to what we are working on, because we're already 6 minutes into this podcast and we talked about you wearing face masks.
Yeah. So Young Doctor Adventures, as of 2.5 hours ago from this recording, the final episode of Young Doctor Adventures Volume 2 came out, and it's been received well. I like to think. I've seen quite a few very, very nice comments, which we'll be reading a bit later. And in about a week from today, the trailer for Resurrection Season 4 will be coming out, which that in itself is an odd feeling, because, well, I keep saying this over and over again, but it's just so funny to me, is that I started working on it 15 months ago.
Yeah, it's been over a year in the making, Season 4. I remember the absolute chaos that was the production of Series 4, because I think that was when you were at your busiest in terms of like producing audios, mate.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, that's the reason why I started Season 4 so early, was because I knew it was going to be a long process, and it was. Because when I started it, I'd just finished writing Young Doctor Volume 2, and I jumped straight onto Season 4. Following that, I was still doing like Time Traveller audios and like Supers Volumes 9 and 10 and Time Traveller all in the background as well. And because I knew those were all 4 episodes in one big lump and had different stories and were coming out at different points in the year, whereas with Season 4, it's a solid 3-month block of pure series, which is also nice because it means that I don't have to, looking at my schedule as things get ticked off and the gap gets smaller to where I'm currently at, knowing that Resurrection is coming out weekly as opposed to all year so far, everything has been bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Transcendence was a great bit of breathing space for me because it was only one project that came out across the whole of a month. Whereas recently it's been like 3 or 4 that have come out over the course of a month. So it's nice to have that. And with this, it's only one big project coming out across 3 months. It's even better to know that I can use that time where there's a bit of a break to catch up on other things.
Definitely, yes, because it just means it's definitely like, I think Resurrection is like the big event of the year where you can just sort of, this is coming out and this is your breathing space to get things done.
Well, yeah, like I said on the Delta Effects podcast that I was on last night, it made me hate making fan audios.
Just because of how busy you were?
No, I really, really, really enjoyed making it. It's one of my favourite. It's probably what I consider my most favourite season so far. But because I loved making it so much and I put so much passion and effort and love into it, as a result, it all got drained from me.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's like when Uncharted Past is finished, the amount of work and dedication that we've all put into it, you'll probably want a break.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly, because even though you love doing them, it's just a case of, that was so much work and I need a rest for a bit.
Definitely. Because currently we're still working on Uncharted Past right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can say.
Oh, don't worry. I already did on the Delta Effects podcast.
All right, what did you say?
I said that Volume 3 was finished and was coming out in February.
Yes.
I said that Volume 4 was almost finished, bar a couple of bits and pickups that you need to get, and that's coming out in April. And I talked about how you're wanting to, because we've recorded it so far in advance, we can afford to do this. But you're basically wanting to actually meet with some of the cast to record because you want to make it as perfect as it can be, which is completely understandable. And luckily, because of lockdown, we've been able to get so far ahead that
yeah,
it's coming out next April. I mean, we've got time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were talking about the pre-production for volumes 3 and 4.
Mm.
That you want pre-production for both. I think for at least volume 3, you want the scripts done. You want my scripts for volume 3 done by July. It's July now. We got that volume completely finished.
Yeah.
That just shows how far ahead we are, and we got a head start in volume 4 at the same time.
Yeah, because when I look at the cast schedule, the only people who have to record now are 3 people.
Yeah,
and one of them is yourself.
Yeah, I'll get those done eventually. I don't have access to the recording microphone.
Oh no! Either way, we've got time.
But yeah, definitely. We have the time. We have the time right now.
Yeah. But yeah. Speaking of finishing off Doctor Who's, shall we have a little listen to my conversation with Nathan Carter on his final series?
Oh, definitely.
I am recording this message so my TARDIS detect danger.
Danger from what?
From the one man I've been hiding from my entire life, and now he's back.
I read all the files on him. Vicious man.
Who is it, Doctor?
That's a bit of a silly question. I'm the master. I guess you could say it was all part of the plan to lead you into this trap. A discovery was once made to control rifts in time, and I want that power. If I were to do what you were asking of me, Lee and Nikki, would you let them walk free? That is the offer I am willing to make you. Goodbye, Doctor.
And now I'm joined by Nathan Carter of NTC Pictures. Hello.
Hello, Connor. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Not bad, thank you.
Oh, good. So I thought we could talk a bit about your Doctor Who fan series, because obviously it's coming to an end soon.
Finally, yes.
And yeah, I do actually remember a time when the original edit of episode 2 came out. I was on the train home, and that was in the summer of 2017.
It was quite a while ago now.
I remember. I remember being on the train because I was coming back from London to home, and I remember trying to get signal.
Yeah.
To watch it, because I think I ended up using a lot of my data at the time. I didn't want to wait. And then obviously episode 1 came out in 2016, didn't it?
Yeah, there was a year gap. It was a big gap.
And obviously, which is even madder when you think about it, episode 3 came out recently, but it didn't need remastering because it hadn't come out yet.
No, yeah, a lot of the original episode 3 had been edited years ago. I remember the scene at the end of episode 3, the tent stuff, that was shot, that was edited the day we actually shot it. So that's been sat there waiting for 6 years, completely edited.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that. So I'm only judging it by release dates. So I keep forgetting
it was shot in 2014 and 15, the whole thing.
That's absolutely mad, because a couple of weeks ago, as of this recording, I released that lockdown special of visual episodes that I made back in 2014, and to think that I consider them the worst things in the world that I've ever made. It's kind of weird to think that as I was making that, you were still making Series 4, and now it's coming out now. Yeah. I think what's really good about the episodes as well is that they've not. Well, how do I put it? They haven't aged at all, if you know what I mean. They still hold up even now, because when I look back to that old fan film I made around the same time, I just think it looks awful in comparison. Yeah. But you can also really tell that between episodes 1 and 2, there's a huge growth in production value. I noticed that the camera angles are.
I remember in episode 2, there's a big sequence in London. Well, I say big, it lasts about 5 minutes. But the majority of those shots, there's some shot in 2014, and then it cuts to another shot that'll be in 2015, and then it'll go back to one in 2014. So it's really difficult. It can be quite difficult to edit that sort of stuff as well, especially now when I'm like re-editing scenes with like the Master and the Doctor. My lines were shot like a year apart from Callum's. Now obviously it's been like 6 years since we shot them. It's really weird just to look back on them and just piece them all together.
Yeah. Was there a reason that you filmed it out of order, or was it just time?
Well, the thing is, when Callum first came, I was so nervous about meeting him. It was the first time that I forgot to pack the tripod. So we got there was just me and him. We didn't have anyone to help or anything. So I couldn't really do the shots where it was like over the shoulder shots and stuff that I was planning. So I just had to do all his handheld. We tried to do mine handheld. He held the camera and stuff, but I wasn't feeling it when I was looking at them back. So I just said, we'll just do all your lines and then I'll do mine on a different day.
Yeah. Which was another day being another year.
Yeah. It was because it was getting later in the year and it was like I kept putting it off, and then all of a sudden I looked and all the leaves had fallen off the trees and I'm like, oh, it looks really shit now.
Yeah.
So I had to wait for the next summer.
You have to wait for the seasons to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because there were some shots that we've seen from the trailer where you are both in the same shot together, but was that done the same day, or was that done on a different day?
Well, yeah, because we shot it over like 2 days. On the second day, I did remember to take the tripod. So like there's a few shots where we were both in it.
Oh, nice.
But you notice in episode 2 where the Master approaches the Doctor, because that was shot on the first day. You'll notice that the camera's on the floor. Looks a bit shit.
Yeah, that is a shot I had in mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it works.
Yeah, I think from a director's point of view, it sort of matches the point that the Master is dominating over the Doctor, really, because obviously the camera low down, looking up at the character.
Yeah, exactly. But as well as that, I suppose it shows that. I mean, if we're going to go into like camera angles having the meanings like we learned at uni and everything,
yeah,
like having them not in the same frame together shows separation anyway.
Yeah.
And like they're not together in frame, so they're opposing one another. It's that sort of thing, one side or the other side, etc. So either way, it still works, and I don't think nobody really had an issue with that anyway. So yeah, 'cause I've done stuff in the past where I've had to film, like there's been 4 characters in the room, and only one person there at a time. And it's an absolute nightmare. You watch it back. It's like one of these old films that I made in like 2010. You watch it back and everyone's trying to look where they think the person will be stood, and the camera angles don't at all match the other people's shots.
Yeah.
So it's just like 180-degree rule madness going on. Everyone's just you're like going completely mad watching it. But I know that you reshot the fire in the garden scene a few times, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like I've got like 10 folders from like 10 different night shoots of that.
Did the neighbours ever say anything?
Yeah, like one of them came out. She was like, "Have you been burgled?" And there's just everyone was out there hanging out the windows and stuff. Obviously, because it was at summer as well, you had to wait till it was like after 11 to film it.
Oh, wow.
So it's like we had to do it really quietly. I remember spending like so many afternoons just rehearsing the shots, so we didn't have to like me shout out directions and stuff. Like we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, that's so much easier, I imagine. And well, you sound like you had an audience anyway, so you don't want to let it drag on for too long.
Yeah.
Did you have to do like risk assessments and health and safety sheets and everything because you were working with fire?
We did little safety precautions. Like we had, because there were like so many bits of wood, you could like hide stuff behind them, like extinguishers and little buckets and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I remember once mine actually
great.
nearly caught fire. We dug like a little hole and it was like inside it, and the wind blew and like blew hot ashes onto him. Like, stop, drop, and roll. But he didn't die.
God.
Thankfully.
Blimey. Almost made a sacrifice.
Yeah.
For the film. But yeah, either way, that all sounds great. But we are also working on something else, aren't we?
Yes.
Well, we've been. How long has it been kind of plodding along? Like maybe a year and a half.
Maybe longer.
Longer. Oh.
Maybe.
Well, essentially, we've been working on Audios remaking Series 1.
Yep.
Because, well, I think, have you still got Series 1 online now, or is it gone again?
The originals are. I'm currently working on remasters, which they're not remastered. Like they are the actual episodes, but like some episodes that are online now, I've got like segments muted because of music copyright and stuff. So I've been replacing little bits and adding new effects, and Callum Bear's made new opening titles and stuff, so they'll be out soon.
Yeah.
And thankfully, all in one little video as well, not like an episode split over 3 different bloody videos.
Oh yeah, because that was back when the. Oh my god, this is why I really start to feel old. That was back when you had the 10-minute YouTube limit.
Yeah, unless you are a partner.
Yeah. Remember that, like back in the old FanFilm days, we had part 1, bit 1, and then part 1, bit 2, and you're like, oh god, are you supposed to keep up with that? But
I remember having to rate them as well, like with stars. There were no like thumbs up, thumbs down. It was just like you had to rate them.
Oh god, yeah. I kind of prefer that era. It felt more movie-ish.
Yeah.
Now it's all about those social media likes.
I know.
But essentially, we're going to be like it's remaking, really, isn't it? Because we're trying to sort of, there are some elements of the stories that are being rewritten, like the first episode is called like a werewolf in Leeds now.
Yep.
And like small, basically things that couldn't have been done visually, and being able to be done in audio, and obviously. I don't know if this is how well known this fact is, but Series 1 never actually properly got its finale, did it?
No, because we never. My friendship between myself and the guy that played Nick Hammond, it came a little bit rocky, and I just got a bit fed up with him, so I just didn't bother finishing it.
Oh, and then obviously the unknown descendant and everything was meant to be kind of like a new beginning in a way.
Yeah, like completely new, like all in HD and better quality, and so I just sort of rebooted it slightly.
Yeah. Well, either way, hopefully the audios that we make will be a fitting beginning of sorts.
Yeah, it'd be like the Sixth Doctor thing that Colin Baker did for Big Finish, where we found out how he regenerated and stuff. This would be like how
the reverse
to end.
Yeah, which is good, and obviously, like we've done some little differences, but it's not anything huge. We've done 4 out of the 5 episodes so far, and that was done quite early on. Like, for example, there were some lines that have been recorded for it already that were done in October last year.
All right.
Like, because I don't think it's not really too spoilery if we talk about it, because they're already existing in some shape or form. But like the Fortress of the Cyber Shades, John. Do you know John N. Harper or know of him?
Someone mentioned his work to me the other day.
Yeah, he does Daleks and Cybermen, really good voices, and does a varying amount. Like the other day, did Ice Warriors for me and everything like that. But he's done the Cyber Shades back in October. I've been trying to get other bits and pieces, like for the Doctor and the Disappearances episode. But
I think from Series 1, the Cyber Shades were my biggest regret, like visually, because obviously it was just like a Cyberman voice change helmet, and the thing around his head to make it look like he was wearing like a cape were actually sports shorts. So I look back at that episode with such hatred.
Wow.
But that's what fan films were like back then. Like you said to Pete last week, I think, about the liquid thing.
Yes, when I watched Pete's fan film, that he found all the raw footage and put it all together. I watched it because he's been furloughed. Pete has, so he found an old fan film, all the raw footage from like 2009, shot on like a 4x3 little it wasn't even a camcorder. It was just a digital photographic camera that took video as well. That's how old we're talking. And I just watched it back, and I just thought to myself, there's a lot of judgment that goes around fan films now because there's been a bar set for it. Because things are so accessible. There's been a bar set for it, like that you've got to do. Like you can't just make a fan film in your back garden anymore.
Yeah.
Like back in the old days, because that's what I used to do. My lounge or my living room when I lived with my mum was the TARDIS with a little touchpad sort of light as the time rotor and everything, and then just using a broken keyboard as the TARDIS. It's like it's got to be perfect now. I've noticed, like, some people feel like, if it's not really made to a high quality, it's not worth it, which I don't agree with. Like, I watched Brad Pitt's fan film, which I watched when I was a kid anyway. So there's a bit of, yes, there might be a bit of nostalgia there, but I still feel like those stories show passion and inspiration and of the fans, no matter what quality they're at.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like despite the fact we judge them, I think we're all right to judge our own because we know what we can do now. I think though,
like when I've been editing the new Series 4 episodes, like, of course they were like shot 6 years ago. Since then, I've like graduated uni and done my own films and got my nomination and stuff. It's like I can do so much better than this.
But at the same time, it's like I think it's a good thing if you can self-criticize, but I think, like, just depending on elements, I think when it comes to all fan films, I've got a soft spot for them because we all started out that way.
Yeah.
There's, in terms of what's going on with the audios as well, we started out by introducing your Doctor in Transcendence.
Out of my way!
Stop that man!
Get back here!
Stay away! Ugh. What the?
Whew. Thanks.
You are most welcome.
Who are you?
I think you'll recognize the name. I'm the Doctor.
Another one?
Yep.
And I know that, for example, like, that surprised a lot of people because when we were getting you and Callum involved, when we had that conversation about it, that was at a point where Series 4 wasn't really on the horizon yet in terms of the remaster and full release, and so it was like we were saying the other day. It was so funny because I knew you were making an announcement at 12 when Part 3 was going out, which has you in, and I just thought, oh, hang on.
And then I sort of gave the trailer out at 9 before 12. I thought that might have given it away.
Yeah, but then when I didn't really catch up with the announcement until after Part 3 had come out, and I was just went, oh well, even better.
Yeah.
But I immediately thought, because when we brought your Doctor and Callum's Master into it, at the time it was discussed as being a thing of, because we weren't, Series 4 wasn't too sure if it was coming out. It was meant to be a kind of, this is what could be, and then as soon as it happened, it was happening. So in that case, you both have like an audio and visual, like, version of meeting now.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is good anyway. And as well as that, you've also done some lines for Series 4, Episode 10 of Doctor Who Resurrection. Don't know if you remember that.
I can't. It was such a long time ago that I did those. Was
I
those
know.
the lines I did like early
record
this
so
year?
far in advance. I record so far in advance.
Yeah.
But,
This is absolutely mad.
Yes, isn't it just?
it's a scene with someone called Carly.
Is it in the TARDIS?
Yes.
Right, I think I vaguely remember.
It was a very short scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was. Well, it was last year. At some point, I know that this year has been quite packed with information. So, like, yeah, but like you've been in that, and obviously we talked about the audios. It's a nice sort of transitional thing, isn't it? Of, like, seeing at the moment, obviously you've got the visual series coming out, and then on top of that, we've got some audio appearances as well. Back in the day, back when the first Series 4 trailer came out, because you'd appeared in Luke's early stuff, everyone was holding you to that continuity.
Yeah, and I get so many messages still about this.
Yeah, because I remember when the trailer came out, it says like the last incarnation and everything like that, and everyone's like, "You're wrong. You can't do that. You can't do that to Luke." And I remember you commented quite bluntly to one of them, just going, "I'll do what I want. It's my series."
Did I?
It wasn't so blunt as that. It was essentially the message was, "This is my series, and this is how it's working."
Well, yeah, I mean,
it wasn't so. I could sense that you were just so done with it. It was like,
I'm just very blunt anyway. I think.
Yeah, it's like those nice things. But it's been quite heartwarming to get all that.
It's given me such motivation. Like, I don't think these Series 4 reboots would have happened without Matthew Tyrrell, who did the podcast with me like a few months ago. His words sort of gave me the courage, the fire to just get on with it and finish it.
Because I think I'm going on his podcast the beginning of next month.
Yeah.
Because he asked me, and I went, "Sure, I'm free this week." He goes, "I've got a backlog of 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, all right. Because I know that, because obviously he's talked to you, and he's talked to Luke, and he's talked to Dom. I just thought, I'm going to be next soon. Mm-hmm. I get the feeling. He's working his way through the doctors.
You'll be able to tell everybody how you sleep?
Oh, yeah, that's... that came up in Dom's podcast, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of expanded over to mine, and then it's just become a running joke. And I do sleep. I just... I'm slowly trying to grind down to a point where things will be quiet again, because I feel like if I'm going to go from having everything being bi-weekly for a year and then just have this is one thing every 3 months, it doesn't quite hold up as well, and just looks kind of off. So I'm trying to do it in transitional sides, so that by not next year, the year after, things maybe calm down a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I'm doing it still, to be honest. It's just happening.
So you are churning them out like weekly, aren't you?
Yeah, because this all stemmed from again, for those who are new listening, but I've said it in every single podcast now, I work in construction.
Do you?
Yeah, do I? But there was a job where we were actually working on Broadmoor Mental Hospital, and it was building the brand new one that's next door to the old one. But as a result, you got no signal there. And if you finished your work, the site office for it wasn't anywhere near it because of the hospital being next door. So you had to stay away. And I had to wait for one of the lifts to come by, and it would, like, the lifts as in like a bus or something to take you down, and they were periodically. So I'd just sit there and script, because I had no signal, nothing. I could just focus. And as a result, I wrote about half of 2019's releases in 3 weeks.
Didn't you say that you wrote like the Series 1 like remasters, like in an office, like
something? Yeah, probably. That's why because now we've forgotten how long it's been since we started working on it. It may well have been there for all I know,
yeah.
But it might have been another office I was in that just didn't have signal in. But I get a chance to script whenever I can, and obviously, whilst I've still been going, I'm working in London. The trains have been so empty that I feel that confidence to be able to just sit down and script something.
Yeah.
Whereas I wouldn't have that if I was in a packed train, because people just like reading over your shoulder and just watch you. And I'm just like, whilst I'm wanting to do it, I don't especially want people watching me do it.
You feel a bit
I get on train,
under pressure as well, I suppose. Cause
because you got people on the train, you're waiting to get home, and then you've got your laptop out, and you're scripting something, and everyone thinks you're writing something, and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" Oh, and it's like when you're when you're filming, and you have someone come over going, "Oh, you're making a little film." You're like, "Yes."
There's nothing worse
just
than being
about to
on a train and you're like in the window seat and the person in the aisle seat wants to use the plug.
Oh. So, do you just want to swap?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's. But yeah, overall, you're hoping for the final episode to be out roughly August sort of time.
Yeah, well, it's the 10 year officially since Captain Nick Hammond, the original Series 1, Episode 1. It'll be on the 15th of August this year. It'll be 10 years exactly. I'm hoping to get out either before then or on the day.
Aim for before then, so in case there's a delay. And you're all right.
Yeah.
But yes, that's... So did you say the 15th of August? That's 2 months to this date that we're recording.
Oh, yes, it technically is.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah. Thank you.
No pressure.
But yeah, thank you very much, Nathan, for taking the time to chat with me.
It's all right, not a problem.
And then I'll go. We're going back to the podcast then. So yeah, that was the conversation with Nathan that I had a few weeks ago. We just talked about the whole of his journey, a bit of what was going to be going on with Overton Audios, and also bits and pieces of the finale. Little bits and pieces of teaser goodness. But Daniel, shall we have a little read of the comments?
Yes, currently my comments have been flooded with people wanting to win the Fractured Timeline poster, but I think by the time this comes out, this is coming out on the Wednesday, correct?
Yeah.
Still, by the time this is out, the competition would be finished and a winner would have been selected. So, sorry. But that's basically where my comment section has been flooded with from people wanting to win the poster. But I've got a few comments from Fractured Timeline episodes 2 and 3.
There is one comment that I think we've both spoken about on that video, which worries me and simultaneously makes me chuckle.
Is it the same one I'm thinking of?
The one where you're saying it's like it's a competition of sorts, but then in the comment they go, "Send it to me. Here's my address," and they just write out their address.
Yeah.
And like you have to write a comment and say what your best episode is, right?
Yeah.
And then simultaneously this person has commented and not said what the favourite episode is, but it's just given you the address and say, "Meet me at my house." And it's just like, I remember you sending it to me and going, "What do I do? What do I say?"
I haven't replied.
Right. But that one just made me chuckle. But there was also one other person who said that their favourite episode of yours was Time in the Rani.
Yeah, I didn't realize he made Time with Ronnie. I thought that was a Sylvester McCoy story. So
yeah,
weird.
But like, I assume that's just a typo. But I love it. It's so different because obviously they're talking about the Rani anyway, but it's obviously meant to be the candidate. But we just went Time in the Rani. It's completely different.
Well, they both have the Ronnie, so I can see the confusion.
Yeah, but I didn't realise that you were dressed up like Colin.
Yeah, Colin in a very bad wig.
Yeah. But yeah, are there any other than that? Were there any other comments that you wanted to point out? I mean, I suppose they're all just saying their favourite episodes, aren't they?
Yeah, I got a few comments for episodes 2 and 3 of Fractured Timeline, but do you want to go for your comments first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through just very quickly some of the episodes from Young Doctor Adventures. We have from Volume 2, Episode 1, Friends and Enemies. From Serville Kong 1997. This story was an excellent opening to Volume 2. Thank you. A lot of other comments saying that this is an exciting adventure. Brilliant beginning. That's Michael Cox saying it's a brilliant beginning to the volume and a start of an intriguing story arc. For episode 2, there were a lot more comments because of the twist there. But we had Nathan also commented, Nathan Carter, saying, really enjoyed this episode, beautifully written, and I love the Mondashian Cybermen voices. Such perfect audio editing, possibly my favourite of the Young Doctor adventures so far. And then someone else has commented, it's cool that you've used such an unknown Doctor Who enemy, that being the Virons, not the Cybermen. And it's kind of funny that I recently listened to Patient Zero, which Patient Zero is a Big Finish, a story where it introduces the Virons. My only complaint is that I think there could have been a more focus on the scary side of the Cybermen, instead of them being all stompy, we must kill and upgrade. And that's fair enough, because the whole twist was meant to be that the Virons are the main villains, sort of. They're too logical, and they want to wipe out the virus being the Cybermen. But through wiping out the Cybermen, they want to wipe out the human race, because it would be like the equivalent of saying that if it were with Corona, instead of trying to get rid of coronavirus, wipe out all life on Earth to stop it from spreading. Yeah. That's what the virus are trying to do, which you can kind of see. I mean, I don't agree with that idea for the coronavirus, but for the Cybermen are not easy to stop, whereas humans are. To kill all humans so the Cybermen can't spread, and then blow the Cybermen up. Mm. But yeah, got other comments. I've not got any other comments, but those are my main ones.
Someone commented under episode 2 of volume of Rush Timeline. Saying, I love the concept of the Doctor constantly in flux of regeneration. It leads to some very interesting stories, and that's from Plushy Fan 12.
Oh, very nice.
And episode 3 has gotten a few more comments since I last checked, so let's see what's new with this. First of all, the frickin' Ronnie! Yes! From Captain Rainbow, so
lovely.
Glad to see the excitement from them. There's also one here from the account's called Finn's Empire, and ironically my nephew's called Finn, so nice to know he has an empire in the works. The Rani's hair has grown long, and I think the Doctor has a crush on the Rani. Now, here's the thing. The Rani's going to be appearing in Series 4 of Doctor Resurrection. So, tell us, Connor, will there be a love interest with the Rani and the Doctor coming up?
No. No, there will not be. Obviously, the Doctor and the Rani, just like the Doctor and the Master, their history goes way back, so they all know each other very, very well, but there is no love there. But it's funny that you speak of this 4th series of Doctor Who Resurrection. Shall we have a little listen to the conversation with Oliver Silcock?
That was a perfectly normal segue, wasn't it?
yeah, why not?
Yeah. Anyway, this is Oliver Silcock talking about Uncharted.
What?
No. This is Oliver Alexander on Doctor Who Resurrection Season 4.
Overton Audios presents.
You really have become quite compliant in your old age.
Excuse me, who are you calling old?
Come along, Rani, we have work to do.
There was this guy I saw. I didn't see him come out of the building with everyone else before it went up.
You think he was trapped in there?
No, he was part of the Essex Water Association or something.
The main system along the coast of Essex are being attacked by...
Attacked?
Oh my goodness. I told you to leave! A reptilian species that lived on this planet in prehistoric times has woken up from its multi-millennial hibernation cycle and is attempting to drown you all and reclaim their land.
Wow.
You don't believe me?
No, I do. I thought the world was a big place until about half an hour ago.
Earth is a big place.
Not when you're talking about the whole universe.
I want you to be sure.
I am.
In that case, welcome aboard.
You're not from round here, are you?
We're just visiting.
No one comes to Willis Street to visit.
You must come with me.
I do not need to be ordered about.
Now I've almost finished gathering the energy, the universe will die. I'll be rid of you.
Listen to me. We are in grave danger. 3 Sontarans are here. One of them is infected.
Everyone, do not be alarmed. This moon base is now under temporary control of the Sontaran elite force.
You know it's rude to spy on people.
Stay right there.
Knew it.
Shut it.
If you stop a bomb going off today, a tsunami will come through tomorrow. Rani, you don't have to do this.
I think it's a better time than any.
You're playing with the universe here.
Good luck, Doctor. War's coming.
Doctor Who Resurrection Season 4. Starting the 18th of July 2020 at 12 p.m. I'm the Doctor, Time Lord of Gallifrey, defender of the innocent and the insulter of peelers.
Sounds like you're peeling potatoes.
Not at all, Carly, that would be the Irish one. So, I am now joined by Oliver Alexander.
Hello. How are you today?
I am well, thank you. Are you well?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. We're here to talk some business. We're here to talk some beeswax. We're here to have a good time and not be discriminated for having a good time. Having a good time talking about Doctor Who Resurrection Season Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Season cuatro. Wait, that's Spanish. Season 4.
Right. I don't know where the hell that all came from.
I don't know. Who knows? I've had a long day at work. I'm tired.
Right, yeah. This is the post-work madness.
Yeah, this is the post-work madness. Yeah, I work evenings, so I finished about 20 minutes ago.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear, sir.
That's fine.
But yes, Resurrection Season 4 finished. I think we finished the main block of the series 5 months ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I know what we did is so I know obviously bar Transcendence, which obviously you showed me bits of, but that really you wanted to sort of be your baby, which I completely understand because that's very much very close to the chest. Bar Transcendence, we've gone through. I mean, obviously I helped out a little bit, but it was mostly your thing. But we've gone through every single episode of season 4 together. You've obviously written it, and then we've gone on Skype while I've done the script edits and gone through it all to make sure it's all perfect. I remember actually there is one thing I wanted to discuss about season 4 actually before I get into the complete details. I'm certain there were some stories that we were doing that never made the cut. And there were some stories that have made the cut that were vastly different to begin with.
Hang on, I'm gonna go on the schedule that we've got. There's the option to look at the revision history. So I'm gonna go all the way back to last year because I mean there are some people who some fans who messaged me who are aware of this, but we started working on season 4 April last year.
Yes, we did, and it's coming out. Well, in around a month, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's it's under a month now.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I think the trailer goes out on the 11th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so season 4, that I don't know if you remember this, but I had quite a bit of writer's block to begin with, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Because Transcendence is very much meant to be like an end of era thing.
Yes.
I
get that.
It's almost like, because it's got everyone coming together, and at the end, or this big story, and then you're kind of then thinking, well, there's this huge arc that's been wrapped up with people. Like the whole General Marsh arc is gone. I mean, we've been doing it for nearly 2 years, and I know that might not seem like a long time, but when you're concentrating on something so solidly for so long, it becomes part of the overall thing.
Obviously, we see we see the General Marsh, or obviously the incarnation of the Master before John, who is just simply General Marsh, played by Kieran Twine. So we see him in Transcendence, and he has turned up before in Veritas Volume 1 in the last episode, and General Marsh's previous incarnation, before John N. Harper was General Marsh and then reverted back to the Master, also appeared in Season 1 of Resurrection, but not played by Kieran Twine, as we hadn't necessarily figured out the General Marsh story properly then, had we?
It was just actually like it's like I was saying to John. Well, I think it was not last month, but the month before podcast. I said to John, General Marsh was just meant to be a Time Lord General. It wasn't meant to be the Master originally. So we've now been able to properly formulate the character properly, which is good.
Because I believe we have General Marsh appearing in episode 7 of Resurrection of Season 5. As the Kieran Twine incarnation, but just not voiced by Kieran Twine. And then General Marsh obviously appears properly for the first time in the finale of, which is episode 8 of Season 1, so the very next episode, but played by John, who is obviously
You said
revealed.
Season 4, Episode 7.
Oh, I meant, Season 1, Episode 7 is what I meant to say.
Yes, I was going to say, that would be very confusing if that were to happen in Season 4.
Season 1, Episode 7 is General Marsh's first appearance, from what I can remember. Again, meant to be the Kieran Twine incarnation, just not played by Kieran Twine, but obviously, it is that incarnation who is, again, on the cover arts for Transcendence in the general costume. So that is General Marsh before John. That's the Master before John, everyone.
And then obviously we kind of confirm it as well, because in Transcendence, you've got the regeneration.
Yes, we do indeed have General Marsh actually regenerate into John's version, which is cool. And we do actually, there is a nice moment where General Marsh does confirm himself, saying he was the Master. So we do know that he is the Master. He's just
he is the same
person,
different. But just believing, but just having a life change.
But yes, John's story as General Marsh is now over. He is now, General Marsh has gone, and he is the Master once again. For John's Master, General Marsh isn't coming back. But there are, the beautiful thing with audios is that there's always opportunities to explore, vast amounts of things. So there's always the opportunities to potentially explore General Marsh's past as Kieran Twine's incarnation.
Yeah, exactly. There's, at the end of the day, we established in Season 1 that General Marsh, or the Master, now existing as this persona, was on Gallifrey for 20,000 years.
Well, exactly.
There's so much history there, and there's less opportunity.
Yeah. Which is why on the cover arts for Transcendence, that version of General Marsh, we had to Photoshop him to look, well, I hope people have noticed, but we had to Photoshop him to look really old. We put loads of wrinkles on his face and pulled down his skin and stuff, and grey hair. These are little details that people might not necessarily look at, but when you do look into it, you can see these little details with, with Connor's assembly. Sometimes I do tiny little edits, like, for example, I did make, General Marsh's face really old, and then obviously Connor gives the cover arts to Dan, and Dan, he takes the painting and makes it into a, that piece of, Van Gogh work or something. Dan, not literally that style, but you know what I mean. Dan makes the cover arts sensational and beautiful. I'm obviously going off topic. We're here to talk about Season 4, and we've just blabbed about General Marsh and then the cover arts.
which is all about the old era before Season 4.
Exactly. Yeah, on to Season 4 now. We've discussed Transcendence for
only
25 minutes.
only 23 minutes in. But so Season 4, for me, the new companion, Carly, she is like, if Julia Breslin is the Cravat Doctor's Rose, this Carly is like the Cravat Doctor's Martha. But I quite like Martha. Martha's my favourite new series companion, but I feel like Carly is what I feel Martha should have had.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but wouldn't you see Carly as more of the Cravat Doctor's Donna in the sort of best friend relationship kind of way?
Oh well, I don't mean in terms of like relationship. She's not pining after him. In fact, they make a joke in one of the episodes, and where they're going, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, are you married?" And she's like, "No, brother."
So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
We're not married.
Oh God, not at all.
Oh God. Doing wonders for my self-esteem.
I see. So, who are you both to one another?
Older brother?
Quite.
Alright.
Yeah.
And everything like she's like, no. But like, maybe in terms of that, but like in terms of backstory, you know, Martha's from effectively a broken family who are split between, like, well, parents really. You've got the mother and the father always arguing. You know, the father being stupid and bringing along his girlfriend along, making Martha's mother feel inferior. Then the children are split amongst it. I know they're obviously adults now, but you know it's difficult watching any parent argue with another parent. The only difference with Carly is that she never knew her parents because they didn't want her. And
yes, because she's adopted, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a uni student in Southend-on-Sea, no less.
Yes.
In
accommodation.
Yeah, in uni accommodation with her best mate Elise in 2003, and she's got her own what I would call season 1 Mickey.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like,
but who's a bit more of a dickhead, really?
Oh yeah. Like she's not been treated right by any guy.
No.
And her best mate is the only person who gives her comfort.
Morning, Carly. What brings you to my neck of the woods?
Well, this is the uni building, Jared.
Yeah, right. So, what are you doing here? Class is finished weeks ago.
Well, it's none of your business, but I thought I'd do a little light reading.
And then the doctor comes along, not to be like not saying that when she's been treated badly by men that the doctor will be like that in a romantic way, but he's just sort of showing her the better side of life.
As a male figure in her life who she can respect, and who she not only can respect, but more importantly, feels respected by.
Well, yeah, exactly. That puts it really well.
They never let me do anything, though. I never got to live.
Living is all about perspective, Miss Turner. You see? Over there?
Yeah?
That is a cluster sun. The largest type of sun there is. I could fly the TARDIS into an orbit around it, opening the doors and let you enjoy the rays.
You'd want to do that?
You're my friend. I'm happy to.
Thank you.
All the guys in her life have treated her awfully. And with this, the doctor just sort of shows her a new side of life. Like their first venture together, she talks about like how she feels so small in comparison to the rest of the universe, and it's because of the way that of her experiences in her life that she's been made to feel that way. And then obviously the doctor will show her a different way.
Show her more things. There's a lot of what I love about Series 4, which, I mean, even though there is a lot in Season 3 of Resurrection that I adore, because both we have the 2 specials at the beginning, To Own the Universe, and then the next special, Marriage and Murder, and then both 5-part serials, Dalek Federation and Trial of Veritas. While there's so much in Series 3 that I love and think that Series 3 is an excellent series, the reason Series 4 is my favourite series, is my favourite series overall in general, is because it has such a beautiful story woven throughout it. You shake things up with a new companion, introduce her really, really well, and the dynamic between the Doctor and Carly works brilliantly. And Series 4, whilst having an overall story arc woven throughout the series, like Series 2 did, really, it's just this one, again, Series 2 story arc is great, but I prefer Series 4 because of what's coming, which I won't obviously say, and so the variation in episodes is brilliant. You know, the variation in stories and what's done with them is like, I remember when I again, I'm not going to say what's in episodes, but I will say, obviously, as a producer of Resurrection, I have listened to every single episode of season 4, so unlucky you viewers. I've listened to everything already. But I remember when I listened to episode 2 for the first time, and episode 2, whilst not overly impactful in the overall storyline for season 4, is one of my favourite episodes you've done, because it's just so... I mean, I can't really say much without giving anything away, but all I will say is that it's just brilliant. It's just really, really fucking good. And, you know, I've gone back and just listened to episode 2 on its own a fair few times, because it's just an enjoyable story. You can just sit there and listen to it, and it's great. Again, you know, I've got that with a few episodes in season 4, but episode 2 especially is just really just... It is Doctor Who, and that's the best way I can describe it.
Oh, thank you. I think what helps is also that we've got more variety of writers than we ever have.
Yes, exactly. No, I agree completely. That's another thing I like about season 4 of Resurrection, is that I think we can say who's like written for season
definitely.
4, can't we?
Definitely.
So we've got without talking about what happens in the episodes at all. We've got episode 1 that's written by you and based off a story by Sam Chapman, who has appeared in a few of your audios before.
Yeah, that's based on an old fan film that we made, also called Creature of the Deep, and it had the Sea Devils, and it was an awful fan film when you watch it back, but I like to think we made it a bit better.
Episode 3 is written by Thomas Aidan James, who played Father Shaw in Series 2 of Resurrection and in General Marsh Series 2, Father Shaw being the Master's son, but yes, episode 3 is written by him. So, and then episode 4 is written by you and Charlie Patricks, I want to say?
Yes, he approached me... well, over a year ago now, asking, could I write a script for you? It's like what I've said in the podcast before, and also when on some Instagram stories, is if you want to write something for Overton Audios, I'm never going to say no, because ultimately it's a fandom.
Exactly.
I don't want to be that kind of elite.
If you want to write a script for old Chadders here, then he'll more than likely say yes.
Yeah, there are currently, ever since I made that podcast, there were 6 scripts underway. Not necessarily Doctor Who related either.
Oh, well, then there you go. We may see some meddling in episode 4 from
Why are you making it sound like the meddling monk?
Am I?
Yeah,
so fine.
some meddling.
It's not the meddling monk.
No, it isn't.
So we may see some interference, then, if you will, in episode 4 from the Rani, as played by Kate Lassman, who is also the Rani in obviously in Fractured Timeline, Dan's Irish Doctor series, and in episode 3, the Candidate.
And in Return of the Rani for Uncharted Past.
Oh yes, and of course in Return of the Rani in Uncharted Past, she is back in season 4 of Resurrection, as is, well, the Master, as played by John N. Harper, and we may see them meddling in Earth's history. In the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, and to any who know their history, you know what that might mean, and we'll leave it at that for episode 4. Episode 5 is first episode written by our very own master, John N. Harper, writes episode 5. Anything you can reveal on episode 5 for us, Chadders? No, I didn't think so. That's absolutely fine.
We're not revealing anything from this point.
No, we're not. That's fair. Episode 6 is written by you. Episode 7 is is a story by me and written by both of us. Which I suppose we're not revealing anything. No. I can't say a thing about episode 7, can I?
I've told people the title.
Can we say the title on the podcast?
I've already said it in last month's podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, episode 7, as if you've listened to last month's podcast then, is called The Wrong Cravat. And that's all we can say. That's all we're at liberty to say. Episode 8 is, again, written by you. And, again, episode 8 is one I really love. And introduces... No, I can't say... It just... There's certain aspects of Series 4 that I remember... suggesting to you that you thought would be brilliant, and we put them in. That's all I can really say.
Yes.
Obviously. Episode 9 is written again by Thomas Aidan James, who again is Father Shaw, but it's also written by Brianna Downing, who played Roxy Taylor in season 2 and 3 of Resurrection. So it's a joint effort with her and Thomas and Robert Horsnell, who's he cameoed as the Lord President in series 2. So there you go. But he does his own. He's got his own YouTube channel. Check him out. I think it's Odyssey Audios or something like that.
Yes,
something
the
like
Odyssey
that.
universe.
The Odyssey universe. Yes. So it's written by the three of them. So Lord President of Gallifrey, Roxy Taylor, and Father Shaw joining together as their real human selves to write a story. Episode 10 is written by you and is also based on a story by Pete Adams,
Peter
who
Adams.
Again
the young
who
Doctor
played
himself.
James who played James Carpenter initially in his first incarnation, when he was human and made into a Time Lord, obviously, and then obviously the young Doctor himself. So yes, that's written by Pete Adams. Talking of James Carpenter, we then have obviously James Riley, who played James Carpenter after Pete Adams, didn't he? That was to avoid confusion of the young Doctor more than anything, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because at first,
at that point, James Carpenter,
yeah.
it was just going to be Pete playing him, and then the young Doctor
Yes.
came to more fruition as we decided to bring him in, and we realised this is going to get confusing, so we just moved things around a bit.
Yes, we did. We did indeed. And then obviously James becomes a Dalek in Series 3 and turns into a puddle of mud that's taken to Gallifrey, and that's the end of James.
Yeah. To see if he can never come back or not.
Yes,
left
exactly.
open-ended.
Left open-ended. We'll see. Well, maybe one day. Moving on from episode 10, we then go to episode 11 and 12, the two-part finale written by you and I, and that we will say no more. That's it. That's it. No information. You
can't say anything about the finale.
No, we can't. And is there anything after the finale? Any specials
I have mentioned that there is a Christmas special. That's
wicked. Okay, yeah. So then there's a lovely Christmas special after the Series 4 finale, which doesn't have the Doctor in it because he's dead. I'm joking, obviously. I'm obviously joking. But yeah, so then obviously we get the lovely Christmas special, which again, no information given other than the fact that, well, it's a Christmas special. It's obviously a wind down from the finale. It's just a lovely little happy thing.
a happy little Christmas adventure.
A happy little Christmas adventure, yeah. A little Christmas adventure with a little Christmas adventure, yeah. Absolutely. And so I think in terms of season 4, we've said everyone who's part of the writing team. Are we? Other than obviously the Master and the Rani are on the cover art for the trailer, so we know they appear in it. Are we allowed to say? And then obviously you've spoken about Carly, and you've spoken about Carly's best friend being in it, and then Carly's ex-boyfriend, as we've spoken about as well. Are we allowed to give any more information for any returning monsters or any returning characters?
No, we'll leave it
there
for now. We'll leave it there. We'll just talk about it as it goes out.
We'll talk about it as it goes out. I'm sure I'll be back to do another Season 4 Resurrection podcast after Season 4 is out to talk about Season 4. And I suppose in that podcast, in a few months' time, we can then go into a bit more detail about the Christmas special as well. Not too much, because it won't be out, but a bit.
Yeah, but like a bit more in terms of the aftermath of Series 4 and how that will affect future stories.
And how that will affect if there are future stories.
Well, yeah, the future story is a Christmas special.
Yeah, exactly. The future story, not plural. Singular.
You never know.
But that's none of my business, as the Kermit meme goes.
Okay, good. All right, well, I think that just about wraps it up then.
I think that does, yeah. We spoke about Season 4, we spoke about In-Depth and Transcendence, spoke about what we can for Series 4, which again will be out very soon. When's this podcast coming out?
The 8th of July. Which is...
Yes,
so, all right, I'll say this bit then. As of the release of this podcast, it will be out in 10 days.
Yes, and the trailer will be out how many days after this?
3.
3. Yes, 3 trailers out 3 days.
But let's face it, the
Episode
trailer's
out.
going to probably be played in this to introduce it properly.
Shall we play the trailer now?
No, it's already played.
It's already played.
It's
Lovely.
weird.
Cool.
It's weird to
Well,
be able to anticipate my editing whilst I'm not.
I look like an asshole now, but there you go.
You can play it again for anyone who wants to hear it, but it's only going to make the podcast longer than it needs to be.
Love it, because it's bloody great. Chadders has done a marvellous job with this and really added something absolutely fantastic and imperative to the DW 2012 universe.
Blimey. Okay, that's quite the claim. But here's something that I said to a couple of fans on Instagram. I said, you'd better listen to this, because this made me hate Doctor Who for about 3 months after making it. Do you remember that?
It did actually. I do remember that, because I remember being like, oh mate, I love Series 4 so much. Obviously we won't start season Christmas special straight away, but whoops. Season Christmas special. Whoops.
Carry on.
But let's speak about future ideas for future things, and you were just like, no, I never want to make another audio again.
Yeah, if you insert that
because-
quote from Daniel Craig after Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that?
I never want to fucking do this again, or I'll slip my wrists. That's you after season 4 of Resurrection, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at it, the whole season is about half an hour episode. It's half-an-hour episodes, and there's 12 of them.
And then the finale in itself is both parts together, almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot. That's a lot of editing. So I do understand. I mean, I've only just finished editing the first episode of my audio series for my channel, and that was only 20 minutes. And that's
The problem was I was making
it took me a year to do one episode.
Well, the problem was for me, it was doing that. I started doing this in April and finished it at Christmas. Well, actually, no, I didn't actually even edit the Christmas special until March. So it was 11 months.
Yeah, it's only recently.
And in between that, making the other volumes like Supers and the Federation War, which I've announced, so I'm okay to talk about that. But making all that in the background as well, and just like trying to get one episode out, trying to, it was mad, tiring and painful.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine. It's absolutely bloody dreadful.
Good. All right. Well,
So,
we're now 45
it.
minutes
Enjoy
of this.
Wicked.
So
Wicked. Use the whole thing. Cut nothing.
Oh. All right. All right then. Thank you very much for listening, and we return to Chadders and Dan on the other part of the podcast. Yeah, that was a long section, because me and Ollie went back and forth on like the whole history of Doctor Who Resurrection.
Yeah, and plus considering the length of the scale of season 4, I think it's valid that it was going to be quite a lengthy interview section anyway. And I think especially considering how the world is today, that's a very good message to send out with season 4. So although you said you made a year in advance, I think it's coming out in a very, very I think it's coming out in the right time.
Yeah, I'm glad it's I'm glad that there's like more arc to it. I think Ollie was also saying that his favourite episode was the second episode of season 4, which is called the Sontaran Elite. I'd never done a Sontaran episode before. Because this is what was funny, is I'd written that or planned for that episode as soon as Volume 1, Episode 5 of Uncharted Past was finished.
Oh yeah,
because he has a Sontaran cameo in there by Adam Walker that I asked him, would you be able to come back for a more fuller out role? And then we got some. What's weird is I'm thinking about there are some other cast members who are in it who I recorded for May last year.
Yeah,
and they're good friends of mine who aren't in that many audios anyway, or not 100% interested in being in audios, but recorded them a year and a half ago. Just like, wow.
Time does fly when you're making audios.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, I've taken a break after Resurrection, I made the Federation War afterwards, which was like kind of like going back to season 3 sort of times. And I'm currently in the process of going into pre-production with Resurrection Season 5, which won't be the same as how Season 4 is being presented. We're going to sort of do what we did with Season 3 and split them into little volumes, 2 volumes of 4 episodes, because I sort of went back to a kind of a Series 1 way. Series 1 had 8 episodes originally. I don't know, after the huge thing that is Season 4, I think we need a bit of a break. Even if there is more content, we just need a nice kind of cool down period.
I completely agree. I think because currently, I think it's sort of like the same with Uncharted Past. That's just, people think it's easy making audios. It's really, when you're making audios within succession of one another, it's not. When you're producing a whole range to be released at a given time, it's not easy.
For example, prime example of this was Supers Volume 8. I made Supers Volume 8, and that was the only thing I was making at the time. So I actually wrote the whole volume, all 8 episodes, in a day. And then it was all recorded within a week. And then I was editing them, and I got them finished within a week or 2, because that was when I was having to stay away from home for work. And that was it, 3 weeks to finish an 8 episode volume. Whereas now, oh, are you yawning?
Sorry, I had to stretch.
Am I boring you?
No.
But I'll wrap this up for you.
No, I was just... I find you very engaging, so...
It seems it. But in a nutshell, nowadays, when we've been doing Uncharted Past, we started writing that in the beginning of the year, and we've even then it's taken us a good few months to get to where we are. But that's also down to the fact that you and I are joint working on it together.
Yeah.
Whereas Resurrection took 11 months.
Yeah.
And when you put it into it, took me 3 weeks to do an 8 episode volume of Supers, whereas now it's taken me 11 months to do 12. That was 1 episode a month, if you look at it that way. But yeah, it's all about time and pain and everything like that.
Anyway, this has been great chatting with you today, mate, and I'm very much looking forward to Season 4. And when's Season 4 coming out again?
Series 4, Episode 1 starts, well, the series, I should say, starts on the 18th of July with Episode 1. The trailer for it is out on the 11th, but you've heard the trailer from last month, and you're going to hear the trailer in this podcast again, and you're going to hear it again in a week. But that's what marketing is all about.
Indeed. And everyone, keep that in your calendars, and hope you enjoy Season 4 when it comes out.
Indeed. And just to try something out, I'm going to include at the end of this podcast a 60-second tease clip of a release that's coming out this month. So what we'll do is we'll use 60 seconds from Episode 1 of Doctor Resurrection Season 4. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next month. And Dan, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Oh, then.
Thanks everyone listening, and enjoy the preview for Season 4, and we'll catch you next month on the podcast.
Indeed. Goodbye everyone.
Goodbye.
Just your ordinary water from the main supply. What are they up to?
I knew it.
Oh, don't you know it's rude to sneak up on someone like that?
You're a liar.
Excuse me?
Essex Water Association. Don't make me laugh.
Well, I am. Here are my credentials.
And then you dress like that.
Like what?
That.
Again, like what?
What is it exactly? A tie and a waistcoat?
It's a cravat.
And that's your uniform, is it?
It's not a uniform. Now, you need to get out of here. The water will fill the drain soon, and I need to figure out a way to stop that.
Well, do you need any help?
No, I'm fine. Please go, and stay safe.